Another 3 New Zealand soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan. We're joined now by our New Zealand correspondent Dominic Schwartz from Auckland. Dom, good morning to you. What do we know about this incident?
Good morning, Michael. Another sad day for the people of New Zealand. Another 3 soldiers killed in Afghanistan. What we know is that these 3 soldiers were part of a convoy. They were travelling along the northeastern area of Bamyan province near a village called Do Abe. Now, there was a roadside bomb that went off. They died immediately. The Prime Minister John Key has already been on television this morning and spoken about the fact that it was a huge explosion. They would have died instantly. It's understood that they were in a Humvee vehicle. Now, the Prime Minister says even if they were in a lightly armoured vehicle, they probably would still have died. It was such a massive explosion. We understand that one of those people killed was a woman. That would make it the first female casualty in Afghanistan for New Zealand, and it brings to 10 the number of people killed in Afghanistan. Only 2.5 weeks ago, in the very same area, 2 New Zealand soldiers were killed and another 6 were injured. So this is part, the Prime Minister says, of a growing insurgency in the area. He says there's a new group of bomb makers which are operating just across the border in Baghlan province, and after last week, after the last attack 2.5 weeks ago, he said that New Zealand troops would be going across the border to try and disrupt the activities of that group. Now, they haven't done that yet, but presumably that is still on the agenda.
Now, is all of this, Dom, likely to affect at all New Zealand plans for the withdrawal of New Zealand troops from Afghanistan?
Well, the New Zealand Prime Minister John Key has said this morning that they're not going to cut and run. Like Australia, they announced earlier this year that they would be withdrawing their troops early from Afghanistan, earlier than planned, that they would be pulling them out by the end of 2013. Now, interestingly enough, this morning the Prime Minister was saying that he was talking about the possibility of early next year. Now, publicly, he's not talked a lot about this. When he was asked by the interviewer, is that anything new, he said, no, they'd been talking about it prior to the previous attack, and that it was possible they would come out in the early part of 2013 rather than the latter part. But he said they're not. The reality is that it's going to take months to withdraw. So even if they made a decision now to withdraw, they still really wouldn't be out until next year, which is part of the schedule. But the Labor opposition is saying, look, it is time to get out, that basically now there's nothing more that New Zealand can do. Things are going from bad to worse, and they say it's because the Afghan government has failed to win the support of its people, and that now New Zealand is making sacrifices for no good reason.
Dominic Schwartz in Auckland, we'll leave it there. Thank you.